Good evening, TNT family. We are fortunate again to have our General Senator David Nakhid with us again, and we saw the action that took place in the Senate recently, and we would like our senator to kind of reiterate some things and kind of educate us on what's taking place in the country, what's the issues that he saw with the budget, how this government has been handling itself in managing our affairs. And Senator, I would like to welcome you, and I would like to open the floor for you. There is no limitation here and no restriction. You could say as much as you wish to tonight. So I deeply appreciate you joining us. Welcome, Senator David Nackett.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, brother. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. Good evening to all our viewers and all our guests. And I look forward to a very nice show. We have wonderful guests on. To your point about it was a very hectic 3 days of debate in the Senate. I think it was very glaring, and I stated this in my response. I believe that PNM is now running on fumes. There are no more lies to tell, as they say. There are no more lies to tell. There are no more. There's no more smoke and mirrors to present to the public. Um, as a philosopher said, whether we deny the truth or not, the truth continues to exist. And I think the people slowly but surely have found out that this government has fooled them for the last 9 going on 10 years. Our country is in a complete mess. I mean, there's an ecosystem around crime. That's what this government does not understand. There's an ecosystem around crime, meaning for crime to take place, it definitely doesn't take place in a vacuum. And there's so many linkages that connect us to that final episode where someone takes out a gun, a knife, a cutlass, and kills someone for money or to get food. As I saw one video today with a man who stole and was caught, and what he was stealing was food. He said he was hungry. This doesn't mean it's right what he did, but it shows you where this government has taken us, where mothers are stealing books, school books, they're stealing milk, baby milk, they're stealing pampers. I mean, we really are in a bad place. And the PNM with their propaganda machine will continue to try and tell us to not believe, not to believe what we are seeing. And that's and you have to ask yourself, what kind of what kind of sorcery is this? That they would have people believing or not believing what they are seeing or doubting what they are seeing, and it shows a certain hubris, a certain contempt for the population by of course Rowley and Imbert and all the usual suspects. But it's a pity. It's a pity because the people who are suffering the most are the people who live in PLM constituencies, and that's just a fact. And we have the UNC. We have to try and lift all boats. We have to try and lift all our people. And given how the boundaries have been drawn up by the PNM and the EBC, which is basically a PNM party group, it's gonna be a fight. But I think it's a noble one. I think it's one that we will win. And then we'll have a chance, God willing, to turn around this country.
I saw your involvement recently in your article with the Children's Authority and what's going on with these children's home and stuff like that. So if you can, kind of give us a little enlightenment on what you physically saw there, And obviously, we saw lots of money being spent, and we don't see value for money through all the various ministries of the country. We've seen a lot of money spent in national security. We don't see trickling down to where it needs to be because if our police don't have supplies, they don't have paper and pen, they don't have, I mean, things in the bathroom, so where's the money going? It's like Cuba Good in that with that Jerry Maguire movie. Show me the money. Show me the money. Where's the money? We want to really pinpoint these things and try to engage our citizens, educate them as much as possible so they don't buy in to what this government is selling. I mean, I saw a lot of hurrah there and nothing for it. Nothing for it because you and I deal with the people who say they don't have food to eat. I'm all the way in the USA and I get a call and a message through Facebook Messenger, but I have no food. We're children have no food for 3 days. These are the kind of messages I get. And then I would reach out to you or one of our senators and for help, one of our MPs, and friends and stuff like that. I reach out to friends overseas, but we know the real deal. We know what's going on. We don't see the money. We don't see any real effects for the last 9 years in our farming industry. In every business that we could think about in the country, we have seen deterioration under this government. And I mean, getting into our oil industry with the refineries and other thing. But I'll give you a chance to say what discuss that with us and kind of give us some information.
David, before you continue with Gary, on the same point that Gary is making, if you could just reiterate that part where you spoke with Senator Vera on the visits to these homes and the PNM members or committee members who were not making themselves available to conduct these visits. I think it's an important message that we need to get across so people understand exactly what is taking place. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Nadina.
Thanks.
We are
Thank you.
part of a joint select committee, of which I'm a member, and Anthony Vera, Senator Anthony Vera, SC, he was the chairman of this committee. He tried several times to have a quorum that we could visit I think it was St. Dominic home, the St. Dominic home, because there have been cases of abuse there that was
David, all
stated
of
in
a
the
sudden, Senator, your volume has gone really low down. I don't know if it's happening on your side too,
Yeah, I
David.
seem to be hearing that too.
Oh, okay. One sec. I think someone's trying to call maybe. Let me see. How is it now? How is it now?
Same as in low down.
Very low.
I don't know if you want to step out and come back in and see if it's possible
I think
to.
I will have to step out and come back in, yes.
Okay.
So let me step out and I'll be back right back.
So while we're waiting on our senator here, like we have seen the effects on the ground with our school children. We have seen the suffering with our people on a daily basis. We have seen, the situation with the crime. Okay, I got
Yes,
him back here. One
I was
second.
okay. I was taken aback when I went to the supermarket and found that baby milk has to be stored in a glass case and under lock and key. And I'm saying, I mean, this is not something that we are accustomed to in Trinidad. You see that in other countries that you visit. And I'm saying, where are we now that baby milk has to be placed in a glass case under lock and key? It's a key indicator to me where our society has reached. But David, Senator, back to you.
Well, just to continue what you said, which I alluded to before, that mothers and so family members have been stealing, they've been stealing baby milk, and I mean, we're in a very bad place. We are in a very bad place. I mean, PNM can give all the propaganda and try to present a lot of fluff and illusions, but we're in a very, very dark, bad place. And the thing is, the PNM does they really do not care. You know, people put it down to incompetence. That is not so. The PNM has not a lot. It's not the PNM of old, where there were quite a lot of technocrats and intelligent people. It's a very, very vacuous group. I mean, you just have to look at Renuka Sagam Singh Suklal. I mean, she's horrible, a reprehensible person, and her contributions reflect that. So it's not a very bright group, but still, I look at it as what they've done. It's willful incompetence. It's willful incompetence. They have no interest in fixing the country because they have sold it out to the 1%. For them to fix agriculture, for example, they will have to make the 1% and their control over the food import industry pretty much obsolete. The PNM will never do that because those are their financiers. They will never try to fix the problem of non communicable diseases because that will make the country a healthier place. All the people who bring in the pharmaceuticals are their financiers, you know, with Rahal and all of them and Super Farm. They would not do that. The PNM is so endemically corrupt, let me tell you. And they try to always paint the UNC as corrupt. And I said this in the Senate. Every accusation of the PNM is actually a self confession. It's their confession. So you know, we cannot be distracted. You know, I go back to what you spoke about before with with the with the children's authority, and Senator Paria and myself trying to get that quorum so that we could go visit the homes, and they always had some excuse not to because they knew what we would find. I mean, the Judah Jones report, which I was an integral part of, and that report, that investigation and inquiry came about because of the UNC work through me, of course, into the deaths of Simeon Daniel and Antonio Francois. Those two boys who were pimped out um, to a short, stocky, ugly Rasta fella, a guy with dreadlocks, according to the testimony. Um, and then they died. They wanted to speak about their abuse, and you know, it's not easy for young boys who grow up in hotspot communities to have to speak about somebody about them being raped by other men. It's not. It's a people have to understand that. You know what I mean? That's something unforgivable. You know, they will never hear the end of it. So, but they escaped, and they were subsequently murdered, according again to testimony by people just in police uniform. Now, I investigated that on the ask of Kamla Prasad Bissessa and Julian John. I investigated that. I went up in Laventille where they were killed, and I spoke to the people who were around there. And you know, this talk that the police are, there was people dressed in police uniforms. People know what police look like, and people know what most gangsters in Trinidad. You know, the police tend to be stocky and well built, and especially those who go on those kinds of missions, extra extrajudicial missions. And let's not fool ourselves. Our police some of our police are very much corrupted, and unless we face that and the reality of that, we're gonna remain in this hole that the PNM has dug for us. You know, and someone said, you know, when you're in a hole, first thing to do is stop digging. And if we continue to dig and hide behind the reality that we have a police service that has a lot of rogue elements, very corrupt elements, you know, and this in no way casts aspersions most of the rank and file of the police. But I believe that organizations like the police service and other organizations, they can clean themselves. They can self purge, if they really want it, and not come in solidarity with people who commit crimes and egregious crimes, horrific crimes. Dressing up, and so those two boys were killed, and I was lucky enough to have spoken with their family and with the people who were around when they were killed, and that was formed the basis of the Judah Jones report, which was then politicized because Judah Jones never put my name in the report and ascribed my testimony to, to a friend of mine who I called during the inquiry. I actually called him, that friend, to confirm some of my testimony concerning the former director who was fired on, I don't know if a lot of people, on Olea's night. She was fired. She resigned, of course, but she was fired on Olea's night, so people would know. So my constant and consistent submissions that the Children's Authority was really a PNM party group. That money that was given to that authority was never used in the interest of the authority in any meaningful way, and that money was siphoned out to the PNM. And I cited the numbers and I quoted the numbers, and it just did not up. It just did not up at all. And we could see, as you said earlier, that the horrible security at the authority and those children's homes. You can see with Keith Rowley's refusal to act on a report that has been on his desk for over 2 years, while our children are still being abused as it was reported. 6,000 cases in the last 4 years of child sexual abuse. 6,000 cases in the last 4 years of child sexual abuse, and Keith Rowley has done nothing. And I keep talking about the murder, the rape and murder of Akil Chambers for a reason. Because I think a profile case like that, a high profile case like that, is what will make our people, the citizens, either force the government to move on how our children are being abused, and for us to finally get some action out of this government, who has about a year left in government, but that's enough time for them to do something meaningful to protect our children and so. But Kid Wally is not interested. He has gone full dictator mode. His only interest is probably holding a lot of the money until from now until um the elections, and just making sure that he has a nice nest by the time the PNM is thrown out of office. So
Senator, I want to ask you two things on that. You brought up the Akil Chambers matter. You mentioned 6,000 cases. Let me make sure I'm saying it correct. Rape cases of young children over the past 4 years, is it?
it was 6,000 cases, and these are children authorities numbers. That
Right.
means it's probably almost double. I would
And
say
we have a
maybe 10.
government.
So many are
Right.
unreported.
So we have
It was
a government.
6,000 cases of
Mhm.
child sexual abuse. It could be
Right.
rape, it could be inappropriate touching,
Right.
it could be a whole lot of things, forced different kinds of sexual encounters, forced. It's incredible. It could be pictures, videos made of them in inappropriate position. It could be a whole 6,000 cases. Wrap your head around that in the
Yeah,
last four
that
years.
is, if that doesn't move anyone, so I want to ask, how can anyone of sane mind or sound mind want to join a party that stands by either deliberately or otherwise and does nothing about such a sensitive, destructive matter. I cannot, that is what I cannot wrap my head around, right? And secondly, we're talking about the use of money, something that has not been mentioned at all. Um, why would $10 million in an election year be allocated to the EBC? Could you shed any light on those two things? I mean, it may end up being rhetorical questions. I don't know, but if you have any information whatsoever. Thank you, sir.
Well, for the first question, how could any sane person join such a party that demonstrates complete lack of empathy and a lack of care for citizens? That's where the PNM has taken us. The PNM has warped and distorted uh, our sensibilities, meaning they have, and this started from Dr. Eric Williams, where he has so polarized the country into a state of racial insanity, as Selvin Kajou puts it. And I like that term. It's a kind of racial insanity where nothing that the people they support, in this case the PNM, nothing they do is wrong for them. So although that was a little African Trinbagonian boy that was basically tortured to death, sodomized and murdered by a PNM member, Ken Valley, and a high-ranking official who is now in the judiciary, according to Robert Saba's report. Although that is in front of them, they are prepared on the altar of political expediency to forget about that. For them, that is old news. No, but however, had UNC been implicated in something like that, they would be marching in the streets. Huh? So it's, and you have to ask yourself why, and it comes back to that. We can't hide it. There's a certain racial insanity, mostly perpetrated by the PNM, who has been in government for almost 52 years. Mostly perpetrated and facilitated by them. And I of course, I'll never be so duplicitous to say that we don't have our own fair share of racial insanity within the UNC. But it is clearly not as stark and as out there as in the PNM. Because you have this boy, Akil Chambers, who was brutalized in the most horrific way. Who they have no interest in taking up that cause. No interest whatsoever in taking up that cause for that boy and his family. You know, for them that case means nothing, and it's sad. It's really sad. It's a poor reflection, and I think it was those kind of things that slowly chipped away at our morale as a people, at our dignity as a people, because we allowed those things happen. We allowed those people to get away with basically murder, and we are paying for it. To your second point, which was the EBC getting $10 million. Am I correct, Nadina?
Correct, correct, Senator. 10 million under
Yes.
this budget in an election year. What
In an
could that,
election year.
yeah, what could that be allocated? Some hardware or something which has people concerned and curious as to what that may be about.
Well, what we can speak, unless we ask we for under Freedom of Information Act, we can definitely ask what. I mean, everything else is speculation. What we can speak about is the behavior of the EBC that we know, which is confirmed. I have no intention to speculate about the EBC. I know that they're very much a PNM group in their makeup, and I say that without fear or favor. I say that very easily. But what we can speak to is what we know about the EBC and what they have done. After the 2020 elections, the EBC issued a post-mortem of it. They stated that all the lines in Tobago were fine, and they recommended that it stays as it is. When there was the 666 draw in Tobago, Rowley basically told them, "This is what I want." He told them, "We want 15 seats with 3 extra streets in what would be considered a PNM stronghold." But God is great, as we all know, and they ended up losing 14-1 in a wipeout, in a landslide, because, as we say, God will sleep. And the EBC had no reason, or can give no reason as to why, other than they were put under pressure, obviously, by Keith Christopher Rowley to change the boundaries. And that
But
is that
that
shows that
one
this
vote for that
EBC
one
lacks,
seat.
which they probably lost. Right, they probably lost that seat from what I heard. But it would have been quite
I think
awkward
that
to
came
have
from
the,
nowhere. That was an imported vote, as I could think.
yeah. Yes, I understood that they also lost that seat, but people felt in the interest of democracy that they should have at least one person in opposition. Um, However, be that as it may, the EBC exposed themselves to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and I think everybody knows how important it will be for us to have international observers. It's extremely important.
Absolutely.
That's definitely. But you know what concerns me, Senator Nakhid, is that number one, we cannot rely on the police. We cannot rely on the justice system, right? We cannot rely on the children's authority who's supposed to be protecting the children 100%. We have seen so many, how to say, discrepancies there that are very serious. So I would say we're definitely not in a good place, you know, far as I am concerned, because we can't go to the police to report a situation because evidence can destroy the person's witnesses can get destroyed. I mean, you know, the justice system will drag it, you know, back and forth, you know, for a very long time. It could take 25 years, right? So this
Yes,
is what we're dealing with. So we have to, the people that's directly affected, that is the ordinary man on the street. The people that the people that go out there and vote P and M are the ones that got how to say the things that they need the most taken away from them by Mrs. Bisesa's PPG government, all the resources put in place. So I think we have to really push it with the educating of the people, you know, and be as much as possible, because and counterattack the lies and misinformation from the PNM, you know. So Nadina, you can go ahead.
Yes, extending on that point, Gary. I mean, I am in a chat and someone actually said the UNC opposition wants to stop the sale of the refinery, and we really want, and our country needs the refinery to start back up. The position of the UNC, and Senator, you could correct me here, the position of the UNC it is about threefold. Why did we shut down the refinery in the first instance? Right? That is one. When none of the experts recommended such course of action. Two, there has been a track record of this government courting very savory, unsavory, sorry, very unsavory characters as top contenders for the refinery. And it was the UNC, along with others, who brought this to light. And thirdly, given the procurement process, under what is a gutted procurement legislation, not even that is being adhered to when it comes to the potential sale of the refinery. And that is what my understanding of the objections are to what is currently taking place. So if you could probably expand on that a little bit, I would appreciate it. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Nadina. Well, to the refining, I think nothing epitomizes more clearly the hypocrisy of the PNM. You know, now all of a sudden, I will never forget when Stuart Young in the Senate, I think it was a couple of years ago, when he was asked an urgent question, came and began to speak about how they didn't close the refinery. They were restructuring the refinery, you know, which was amazing that he would say that. Um, and I think they realized, and it took a while for the country to realize Rowley had sold us a lie about about the, the refinery being a burden on the economy, and it would have crashed the economy. And I think Rowley is certainly no energy expert. Neither is Stuart Young, and I think a lot of the experts were very much against closing the refinery. I mean, there are a whole lot of reasons that you know I could. I'll take an hour to explain about the upstreamers and the downstreamers and the communities that exist because of the refinery and the multiplier effect and and its relation to the foreign exchange. I think the point is people now realize, and the PNM realize that people have realized that they made a very big mistake, a fatal mistake, economic mistake, which reverberated throughout all sectors of the economy, and this has
Right.
caused
Correct.
a big disappointment even among the PNM supporters. So now they have to backtrack. They have to come up with new lies, you know, fabricate this and fabricate that and make it look like, you know, what I mean, they're looking for some honest investors, but they're not gonna find honest investors. They're gonna find like-minded people like the PNM. So they're gonna bring a Jindal or somebody else who's dubious, as you said, unsavory characters. But we know how difficult it is to start a refinery unless you really have the intent to do so, and they don't, and they certainly do not want uh, the petrochem, the union workers to get that refinery. So I think they have realized that they have been found out by the people of Trinidad and Tobago. It's going to be a very sore issue for them in the elections. So they have to try and keep reinventing themselves and fabricating lie after lie. You know, the liar just continues to compound on his lie and and they have some creative liars. Give them that. They're not creative in terms of having new income streams and sourcing new income streams, but they're creative in propaganda online. So I'll give them that. Um, to your second point, Nadina, if you remind me, was about.
David, Senator, I wanted to also raise the question of the dragon gas. When I look at the character
But
of
before
Maduro,
before
yes, go
you go
ahead.
in before you go into the dragon gas, I want to come in with the refinery here. Um, the refinery was a topic for 2020 for the general elections, where they promised and they guaranteed that they were going to give it to the oil field workers trade union and so on. And the same thing they did for the local government elections. It's a political football just for electioneering purposes. Here it is, we're going into an election, a general election. Again, for the last 2, 3 years, there was absolutely nothing, total silence about the refinery. You heard nothing about it mentioned anywhere. All of a sudden, elections in the air, and we are hearing Jindal, and we have 10 people, and we have this one, and we have 3 people shortlisted, and so on. It's a political football from the start, from the get go. The refinery was always a political football. They have absolutely no intention. They're going to be playing games with this refinery. That is what it is about. This story about Jindal coming and being interested and so on. And you're quite right. They have attracted unsavory characters to do his business with. And it comes across now to your Dragon Gas. They 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 have no NDAs, so we don't know what is happening. The same thing they did with the COVID. We have NDAs with the Chinese government and a big loan for I don't know $200 million for COVID vaccines, and we don't know what happened to that and what happened to the loan and how much the vaccines cost. And we have a loan that we're supposed to be paying, and it's the same thing happening with the Dragon Gas. So you could go ahead with the question on Dragon Gas, because the Dragon Gas, we have no idea what the deal is. We have no infrastructure. There is no infrastructure in place for Dragon Gas. Absolutely nothing. No wells drilled, nothing. No pipelines, no manifolds, no infrastructure. Absolutely nothing. And there's some arrangement where we have to pay Venezuela $1 million per year starting now. We already did that to proceed with the Dragon Gas deal. There's no arrangement as to what will be the profit sharing when the deal comes on stream. Who is actually financing it? Is it Shell? Who is financing the drilling and the all the rest of stuff? We know absolutely nothing. Everything is NDA. They can't tell us. It's in a sensitive stage. The opposition will object and so on. Maybe you could continue from there, Nadina. I don't know if that covers what you wanted to get on into.
Yeah, I appreciate that so much, Trini. The thing is, I am looking at it from a much simpler point of view. From when I look at the character of who Maduro is and the number of cases against him that's out there in terms of money laundering, drug this, how many, even from Amnesty International and all these other organizations, speaking about how many people have been literally executed under his watch. What is the difference between blood diamonds that you take out of the continent of Africa and the dragon gas that we are pursuing? Is that now blood gas that this country is pursuing under a dictator that is known for so many infringements, holding on to power? I mean, don't do we have any sense of morality and ethics when it comes to that, or is it selective ethics depending on who your friends are?
Well, it's desperate ethics, as it pertains to the PNM. Right now, the PNM will have negotiations with a snake. In other words, they are playing their last card. So you hear Stuart Young every minute talk about dragon, dragon, dragon. But if you look at his record, he has not delivered anything. All he has delivered are promises. Because, and I think if anybody listened to Senator Roberts' rebuttal of Stuart Young was absolutely brilliant, where he broke it down and showed that in the end, we are having negotiations with a dictator who, at any point in time, could call off the deal. And we have been paying him $1 million as a sort of a incentive to keep the deal going. You know what I mean? It was a sort of an incentive to keep that. And that shows you how weak Stuart Young and Rowley were as negotiators. Um, we have basically little or no leverage. You know, the US, especially if Donald Trump wins the presidency, you know how that's going to go as far as Maduro is concerned. So I think they've sold us down the river. They played us for fools, and in all of this is a distraction, as I find, to keep people talking about Stuart Young's family, how much money they have gotten in work since he has been in the PNM. It's ridiculous. You're talking literally billions of dollars. So the PNM know how to butter their bread for the top of their hierarchy. Al-Rawi and Did I go silent again?
Yes, you did, Senator.
Yeah, we lost you.
I'll have to come out
It's back. It's
and
back.
come
It's
back in.
back.
Yeah, Nadina, what I was saying earlier, the Xiaoqiang is trying to sell the population dragon gas. Dragon gas. They have a surveying booth going on, doing something with the layout of the pipeline and so on. But there is absolutely no infrastructure, nothing, no pipeline, no manifold, no wells drilled, no wells drilled. And they have to first of all identify a well, drill it. After that will take months, probably more than months. Then get it online producing, and in the meantime put up infrastructure, manifolds, and to process the gas, to bring it to pipelines that don't exist, then to bring it to Trinidad. And there is absolutely, we have no idea of what the arrangements, what the profit sharing arrangements are. The field, the platform, the manifold will be in Venezuela. What is stopping Venezuela from closing the gas off and saying, okay, I'm going to take 90% and you are going to get share 10%? Well, Shell will have to come into the play somewhere along the line, because they are putting out the money to set up the infrastructure, drill the wells, and so on. So they will get 90%, and then the 10% that is supposed to share with, well, I'm just guessing numbers here. The 10% that is supposed to be shared with between Trinidad and Venezuela, Venezuela could easily say, well, you will take 2% and I will take 8%. And if you don't agree, well, I'll just turn the gas off, and that's the end of the story. And that is what we have to start being concerned about, because there is absolutely we have no information, and the government has not released any information as to
I apologize. Hello?
what is going to happen when the gas comes on stream.
Hello?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're hearing you,
we're hearing you
Senator.
loud and clear now.
Yes,
I would
I apologize, but someone was trying to call and of course I'm
we
going
hear
to
you. It happens. I would like to see the two things: the closure, that whole closure, and you see that whole presentation that Senator Roberts gave. That must become part of our history that is taught from secondary school straight up. It's something we must never forget ever in the future. We must revamp our what the things that we teach in our schools to include the reality of what we face, the current affairs that we are going through that will become tomorrow's history, and not have somebody wipe it out of the memories of our people. Secondly, once we get back into power, Senator, we, the people of this country, it is owed to us to conduct a forensic investigation into the closure of this of Petrotrin, the involvement of Nikon, and the whole gamut with the energy sector, and go after those and the monies that were taken away from the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
Well,
I
before,
agree, I agree completely.
while I agree with you, it's going to, closure of Petrotrin meant that records would have been destroyed. The people who would have been privy to the information are no longer around, and you won't be able to find them to start with, because they're no longer employed. So doing a forensic audit is going to be, finding the perpetrators is going to be difficult. That was the whole idea behind shutting down the whole Petrotrin, because they
No,
were,
Correct,
we sure
correct.
have to try. We sure have to try on that. And forensic audit, as far as I'm concerned, that commission of inquiry with Paria is incomplete
well,
because the government was not brought
Correct,
into
correct.
it, because their performance, their involvement. It seems that I want to know why the government was excluded on that commission of inquiry. And up to this day, these people cannot get any help, any kind of consideration beside the financial, any kind of consideration from this government. No acknowledgement. They are distancing themselves. They are trying to shift this blame to Paria. and the Paria is totally responsible. But I want to know what happened to my national security apparatus, my national security command center, my national security response center. What happened to why my Coast Guard was so incapable of assisting? Why did my Coast Guard, under whose instruction, restrain those who were capable and not collaborate with them? These are a lot of things that are not being asked, in the public domain.
Well, you're very correct. You're very correct. To date, as far as I'm aware, the police of the TTPS have not given a report as to what their investigations revealed about that whole scenario. They were supposed to come in. They were supposed to. Four people died. They were supposed to come in and do an investigation and give a report. The OSHA, I think the OSHA presented a wishy-washy report that said absolutely nothing. So those things, you're very correct. Those things need to be investigated.
Senator, any comments?
No, he's absolutely correct. This listen. There have been so many fatal errors, and some of them diabolical. I mean, when you look at the behavior which was stated in the report, and that led them to believe that it involved corporate manslaughter, when you know that someone was alive, and the executives prevented people from trying to rescue him because there's a possibility that they did not want the citizens to know what was going on in that pipeline. I mean, come on, come on. And these people are still
Maybe there was a tap that was
walking
trying
free, and
to allocate to Venezuela there. Maybe there was some secret thing for the Chinese to pick up oil or in the Gulf or some. There was something very suspicious about this whole thing, And
but
what I
that has
hold
been said.
against.
That has been said that this pipe was not supposed to be commissioned. In other words, it was supposed to be decommissioned. It was not supposed to be in operation, and it was. And I think some heads, not only heads should roll, people should be in jail. People should be in jail, God willing.
But
And
lots of
and this
multiple
is
reasons
just
why we should win this election.
yeah, that is exactly. That's one of the reasons why we need to win the elections to be in government in order to prosecute those cases and bring justice for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and especially the families of those men.
You
It's
see,
a shame.
I
It's
have
a
some things against. I want to know from Stuart Young what time he arrived at the scene when he was what time he was notified, what actions did he take to assist. I mean, these are the things that we need to know. Where was Fitzgerald Hines? What action did he take? You know, these things, they cannot escape these things. We have to deal with them on that.
yeah, um, I think, as I said, just one of the cases of a criminally negligent government. I have been the one to continue to say that Keith Rowley, we have an active criminal as prime minister, and he cannot sue me. And he cannot sue me because I've stated why he's a criminal. He's a criminal because he undermined the constitution and admitted to it in an interview. He said it was me who had intercepted the Americas. And I continue to say that we have an
That's
active
another that's
prime
another
minister.
thing we have to deal with.
Yeah, yeah, of course. You have an active prime minister who broke the law, undermined the constitution, and has made himself a criminal in the process. So there's so many things and so many reasons that you've said that we why we need to get back into government to bring justice for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, to make some progress for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, because it's going to be hard. The PNM has done a lot of damage, but it's going to be a lot of work, and we need serious people to do that work. And I think we have the right team. And of course, Kamal Prasad Bisasa will of course pick the best people, and we have to go forward and make a lot of changes in the time that the people of Charlton they give us. We
I
are
want
judged by
to,
a much higher standard than the PNM. The
yeah,
PNM
we
can
have to
make all
show the
kind of
people.
mistakes that the UNC can't make. Sorry?
Yeah.
Yes, go on.
I said we have to show the people what we will do different than them. The things that we have, the things that we have planned for them. That we need to reiterate this as much as possible and keep this in the forefront so they understand what they could have under a UNC government under Mrs. Bisesa. What the level of things that she did, that she started, it could have been much better by now for them. We have too many
Correct.
people I've had too many people reach out to me that don't have food. There's too many issues. There are far too many issues. We have too many resources. Why our people should be suffering? There's absolutely no reason why our farming industry should be in such a dilapidated condition. I've seen something recently in Michelle's Benjamin constituency there, where a bridge, where Heritage is stopping them from the farmers from using a bridge that they built. I don't understand if they why Heritage didn't assist in making sure that that bridge was built to specs. But the farmers built it to whatever little funds they had. I think Heritage could have assisted in making sure that that bridge was built a little better to accommodate everybody, them and the farmers. Because they raised some issue about the pipeline, so they stopped the farmers from getting to to do their products, and to do their work. So, but there's a lot to cover. I know we have held you a little bit long here, and I want to bring you back. But there's something I want to raise before you go. The PNM is firing up this race talk, and we have to deal with them. Recently, with Senator Suklal in the Parliament, called input, turn in, stand your ground into a racist thing when we have people of all races in the country being attacked, right? All races being robbed, hijacked, you name it. So we should not allow them this time around to get away with that. We have to deal with
Well,
them. We have to stop them in their tracks.
I don't think the public is going to allow them. I mean, they all. I mean, that's the PNM go to. They
Yeah.
they have nothing else, and they know which time, at which juncture, that they bring out something to do with race. Now they found an East Indian woman who's pretty much lines up with the philosophy of the PNM, which is just a lot of rah 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 and noise and, and nothing nothing of that's profound and prolific. But she brings a lot of hate, right? Even how she speaks, and she speaks and twists. If people notice my how I what I speak about, I do not speak about anything in the parliament that I haven't spoken about in the open, because I know it's the truth. But none of them on the PNM side, what they say, they can come and speak about it in public, because they know they have no legal leg to stand on. And this is what she does. So she brings a lot of noise, and the PNM will like that, because they have an East Indian woman who's pretty much like Fitzgerald Hines, what he used to do in terms of trying to rile up whatever crowd that they think they speak to. But I think that's passe. I think it's outdated. I think the public realizes that she's as stupid as anything. And I don't mind speaking like that about her, because she was really reprehensible. She took Julian John's statement and completely tried to twist it, and it was so puerile and so unbecoming for someone who likes to espouse that she has these values of Hinduism. And so she's not, she's just a waste of time. Nothing to do with her religion or her being East Indian. She's a waste of time. I mean,
So
there's
she
not
has to be
one
totally heartless.
yeah, there's not one submission that she has given. And this was said to me by a senator, not on the UNC side. There's not one submission that she gave in the 5 years, almost 5 years I've been there, that is memorable for anything. You know, she's just there to bark and shout and when Jayanti, Senator Jayanti Lakshmi Ramdiyal speaks, she will follow and try to. She's not. I mean, she's not even close in the class of Jayanti. So when it comes to Julian, she was fighting a losing battle all the way. Hopeless, classless, and totally in keeping with the PNM philosophy, just to bring a rabble rouser and hope that she gets a couple East Indians who are like-minded, and it should be difficult. It should be
And who are
difficult, you
after
know.
their own greed, who are after their own
Yeah,
greed, because to support the PNM and to ignore the amount of suffering and what the people in the country has went through and is going through, you have to be a heartless, selfish person. I don't care what race you is.
well, that's what they are. I mean, the PNM has shown that they are heartless, and so I mean, Imbut will come and laugh after 10 years of failure. He will come and be laughing in the parliament because for him it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? This Sukla lady, I mean, she's talking about. Imagine we are saying no property tax, and when we wanted the property tax, we were going to go after corporations and commercial properties and so on. I mean, you listen to that and you say, well, if that is true, this shows you how for the people the UNC is as a party. We are for the people. We want, if what they're saying is true, we weren't going after residential properties where the poor and working class people have to be paying and so. We're going to go after only corporations and commercial properties and so. But the PNM knows that that will affect themselves. You know, it will affect all those PNM people making hundreds of millions in rental and who have built properties like Imbert in Picton. And I mean, it's just one gigantic corruption. I know people, one of them, my father deceased, used to say there is not a single transaction that takes place under the PNM that is not corrupt, not corrupted. Not a single. If they have to give a contract for dinner mints, they will corrupt that process and then try to make you believe like no, it's not them. It's not someone else. I take my leave now to all my good friends, Gary and Medina, my brother. I look forward all the time to joining you. Um, but as the time is coming on to the morning in Dubai where I have my family, I have to join
All
them in a
right.
call
Yes,
to
yes,
make sure
yes,
everybody is okay in Lebanon, and. So I wish you all
yes.
the best. I love you all. Take care and God bless.
Thanks a
Salam,
Thank you very much,
gentlemen.
Senator
Salam.
Nakhid, for joining us. Uh,
You're welcome.
Okay,
so,
good night, gentlemen. I too must take my leave. So have a blessed night, everyone.
same to
all
you.
right. Thank you very much, everyone. And thank you for our listening audience for joining us. And we will continue to educate our people as much as possible and have as much programs as possible to make that, going forward. Again, good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Night night.